Hi, folks. It's Andy Stautz at Stautz Law. I'm back with another talk about an estate planning topic. And this is another one of those overlooked things, in my opinion. And that is whom to choose for your fiduciary. Fiduciaries, plural. What do I mean by that? Well, as part of your estate plan, I'm always, in every case, going to recommend that you include a financial power of attorney and an advance directive for healthcare. And you're also going to need in your will or in your revocable trust, any trust really, you're also going to need fiduciaries there. So you need someone to be your power of attorney. That's one fiduciary. You need someone to be your healthcare representative. That's another one. You need someone to be your personal representative, the executor in old language of your estate, if you've got a will. You also need a successor trustee in the case of a revocable trust. So that's a lot of different roles. I think it's important to point out that it doesn't have to be the same person for all of them, right? You can choose one person and say, this person really knows about my values, ethics, regarding healthcare. They can be a great healthcare representative where they need to decide, life support or, medical procedures, but maybe they don't have a financial mind or they're not good with numbers and accounting. Well, it's okay. You can have a healthcare representative who's good at one thing. You can choose someone else to be a successor trustee or a financial power of attorney. So that's one big point is choose your fiduciary or fiduciaries based on what they're good at, right? Which brings me to the second point. A fiduciary appointment is not like an honorary thing. I think people, say, oh, my spouse is the most important person in my life. I want her to be my executor, or I want him to be my successor trustee, or parents. But here's the thing. One, it's a lot of work. It comes up all the time in estate administrations where at first a personal representative will say, oh, I don't want the fee for my work on the estate as personal representative. And I say, track your time anyway. And then months and months and months later, after doing all the work, it's like, well, yeah, I do want the fee. That was more work than I expected. So, you got to consider it is work. Two, it requires certain skills, which we touched on earlier. If it's a trustee role and there's going to be accounting, an executor, personal representative role where you need to make an inventory and you need to get things appraised, you need to make sure you got the right skills. And third is emotions. Your executor acts when you are dead. So if it's someone really close to you, they're going through a lot emotionally. They're going to be grieving you, and they might or might not want to have this extra administrative burden on top of their grief. It's just not a good time to be asked to, sort through all that. So those are kind of your big concerns. So the classic choice for lots of these fiduciaries is family members. And that's great because, if you've got family members, that's where the trust comes from. You know them, you trust them. That's the most important thing. But like I said, it's a big ask. It can be heavy. Your other option is an independent or corporate fiduciary. So, banks have trust departments. They can do this for you. There are independent fiduciaries out there whose job it is, to serve as a personal representative or successor trustee. And I have heard from time to time of attorneys doing it for their clients. I don't do that. I think there's an implicit conflict there. I won't serve as a as a fiduciary for clients where I'm also the one putting together the trust. But you could always go to a different attorney maybe to see if they do that. So that's a big picture view, lots to think about. But you need to kind of balance all those considerations, and the choice you make is going to be different for everybody. So I'll probably return to this in another talk because there are a couple more things I didn't get to, but this has been long already. Thanks for listening, and I hope it helps you as you're planning. And give me a call when you're ready to talk. Bye now.